Welcome to Circle Back to You podcast. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. Our guest today is the Connection Queen, LORNA SHERLAND. Lorna is a powerhouse speaker, visionary business strategist, and coach for female entrepreneurs ready to break through plateaus, amplify their visibility, and create lasting impact. As an Amazon #1 best-selling author and real estate broker with over 22 years of experience connecting buyers and sellers, Lorna now channels her expertise into helping ambitious women elevate their influence, attract high-value opportunities, and drive meaningful growth. Welcome, everybody, to Circle Back to You podcast. Happy Thursday. I'm your host, Jason Wilson. Today, I'm with my friend, LORNA SHERLAND. Welcome to the show, Lorna.
Hello, Jason. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to have our conversation and have some fun today. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I've known Lorna only for a couple of weeks now, but she's one of those kinds of people, though. When you meet her, you feel like you've known her for such a long time, and you just hit it off right off the bat. I'm going to be asking you several questions about that, right? But let's get into your personal story. Let us know who Lorna is for those who haven't met you.
Oh, thank you for that question. And I love that you asked me that. I was on a podcast yesterday and he asked me that same question. And it brought me back to sharing something that I don't usually share unless I'm on like this live in person stage. And it's the fact that I came to America with $50 to my name, y'all. $50.
Wow.
That's the only amount that the Jamaican government back then would allow you in 1985 to leave the country with. And my mom was the straight and narrow person. She still is. And I came here with $50. I came to stay with a friend of hers, and that didn't work out. So I had to figure something else out. And then I went into the advertising agency and I started at the bottom of the totem pole, and I left as a controller and went into real estate. And I've been in real estate for over 23 years. I know you said 22, but this year's 23. And now within the last 6 years, I've also added on supporting female entrepreneurs to grow their visibility, their income, and really step into their authenticity so that they can lead and build lives that they love. So I'm super excited to, and part of that is connecting people with strategic partnerships to help them to grow that income and influence.
That's wonderful. So you were in real estate for years. What spurred the transition from real estate to what you're doing now to help women entrepreneurs?
Oh my gosh, you want me to tell the old stories? Okay, great. So, being in, you know, and I love that you asked me that, right? Because I think we're going to talk about connection here today. And I'm going to probably touch on connection, not just in the realm of connecting to humans, but really connecting to yourself to figure out, well, what's next for you, right? Um, Being in advertising, I was in at the finance section, right? So yes, we were connected, but we weren't connected to the level of, let's say, the production group or the media group being connected to the outside client. Now, how do I translate all that, right? From there, coming into real estate wasn't really pretty, y'all. It was not pretty. What happened was I got really upset with them, with my last company. They separated me from my CFO, who actually took me from a prior company to come join him to fix their problems. Yes, I fix problems. And that's continued even until today, which is why I love, love, love to support female entrepreneurs, because I see problems and we help solve problems, right? But going back to how I got into real estate, they took my CFO. And that just didn't work because they never hired a new one. Stepped into the role, started doing the things, didn't get the salary. COO came in. A COO is not a CFO. And so one day I just walked into the human resources department after a young lady who was supposed to be supporting me as an executive secretary. She decided that she wasn't going to do the stuff that supported me to win and win for the company. And I was just thoroughly out, just out because of her attitude. And I said, you know what? This isn't working. Let me go find something else to do. When I left, I didn't know what I was going to do. I never had, my ex husband was the one who loved real estate. I did not plan on doing real estate. When I left, um, I said to myself, okay, how can I be independent? That was my biggest why, was how can I be independent? I did not want to work for anybody again, right? So that's how I got into real estate. Fast forward, I left corporate America September 5th, 2001, 6 days before 9/11. Thank you, Jesus, because 6 days after I left was when 9/11 happened and Manhattan got shut down, right? So, blessing that you didn't even see, right? I didn't see it. And that was September. In October, I got my license. I started my license and then I finished my license in November that year. That's how fast it happened, because I was like, okay, I can't sit around. I got to do something. And I got my license and I jumped in. First deal closed in December. So from check it, right? From September when I left to December that same year, I actually created deals in real estate. So, and then I went on to do my first year in the business. I did 25 deals just the first year in the business, and then I continued to do up until today. I'm still selling today. So, something worked.
Yeah, something absolutely worked. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, obviously, you're a super connector. We're going to talk about that. But, in order to sell something, you
Mhm.
have to believe in yourself and believe in the thing that you're selling. So obviously, you believe in real estate if you're
Yep.
still doing it today, but you're also a super connector and you find it really, really easy to do that. Now, my
Yeah.
question is, what are the attributes that you must have in order to be a super connector?
Great question. What a good question. So, couple of things, I believe. One, as you said before, you got to believe in yourself. That's number one. You got to be connected to you, your values, how you want, what you want in life. Because if you're not connected to your own values and your vision, you're not going to get connected to the vision and values of your clients. I don't care what industry you're in. So, as I'm speaking, don't just listen to me from a real estate standpoint. Yes, I will talk about it from a real estate standpoint. But if you're a coach, a speaker, any service provider, you can overlay this into any of those industries, right? You got to believe in your value, right? The value you bring to the world, right? So that you can see and hear the value of the consumer, what they need, their needs are, what they're looking for. So that's true connection. When you're connected to who you are, you can connect easier to everybody else. And I think, again, unconsciously, I did all those things. I've been doing all those things, but before I got into the transformation world, I didn't recognize it. Now I understand it. I'm very aware of it, so I use it even more, because that's just how the world works, right? Everything works by law, and I could go deeper into that on a different call. But pretty much you got to know your own values, your core values first. You got to have a vision for what you want the money to do for you, and you got to have the same thing for your client. That's the best way I could say any connector operates. Let's see what else I could share with you. The next thing is, you got to know your product. You got to know your
Mm.
product for real estate. So I'll tell you what happened in real estate. I remember when I started in real estate, I went to Remax first, right? And the woman said to me, "Ah, you're not Remax material."
Oh, really?
Well, she gonna tell Lorna that? Well, nobody tells me something like that. Tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
Really? So I was like, okay, no problem. So I went to Prudential. Back then, Prudential was in the real estate business as franchise. And I went to Prudential Rand Realty. And from there, that's when I did my first deal there. And first year, 25 deals. Second year, I think I did 40 the second year, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, when you know your product, It's a game changer. I'll tell you what Prudential Rand did to me and a lot of us back then. In our training, we had to every month, listen to this, y'all. Every month we had to visit 100 properties, not to show them to buyers. We had to visit 100 properties just to know the inventory. So fast forward, I use that skill right now, even in this building I'm living in. So last year, I'm walking around the building and I'm like, wait a minute, what is that crack? Huge building, 5 stories high. I see this crack coming down from the ceiling, from the roof all the way down, and it was bigger than my finger. It was wider than my finger. I had to come downstairs and say to the property manager, "Did y'all see that crack in the building?" They didn't see it, but my eyes are trained to see stuff like that because I'm giving Prudential their props. They trained me to see and know my product, right? So it's the same thing in coaching and any other service provider. You got to know your product. You got to know how to coach. You got to know how to listen. You got to know how to teach your students. You got to know how to coach your clients. You got to know how to mentor your mentees. But that comes by practice. You got to practice, practice, practice. So that would be another way that I think that would cause and create connection. The more you practice, you're connected, the more you're able to relay and relate, right? Um, what else can I share with you? You kind of caught me off guard with that question, so I got to really think about about how else connection works. Just being present in conversations, and it's I use it in real estate a lot. And I use it even more in coaching because in coaching, you can have a client and the client is telling you one thing and
Mhm.
they're not really telling you the thing, if you know what I mean. Um,
Right.
so really being able to put aside your agenda and being able to listen to what the person may need that they're not saying, but that you can hear and then fill the gap for them. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example.
Absolutely.
Yesterday I was on a call with a lady from the Diva Network, and we were just talking. I had given her some things that she could use in her business, and she started implementing. So we were just there to catch up and see how it's working. And she started sharing some more stuff with me, and as she's sharing with me, I'm just totally engrossed in the brilliance of this woman, and I'm listening
Mm.
to her, and she's sharing about other things in her business, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you're talking fast. I'm tracking you. Go back and tell me, repeat this again. And because I was listening, we uncovered a bunch of gaps in her business that she didn't even see, right? So
Mm.
when you're connected and coming from a place of contribution and service, it changes the game, right?
Yes.
Because even if you don't realize cash in the moment from that conversation, that connection, the possibility, you don't know what could come of it, right?
Right.
You unlock something so powerful for somebody that they'll be like, oh my God, they know somebody who needs you or you can support, and they give you that referral. Third party referrals are the best, right? Like if somebody else says, hey, Jason, I want you to meet this person because he is the best. What would you do? Right? You're not even going to ask any questions. You're just going to go do it
Exactly.
because, it creates trust, right? That's a whole nother conversation. It creates trust. So you can step into it without any qualms. So, just listening, be connected, know your value, know your product, know your service, what you bring to the table. Those are some of the things that will keep you connected and in the game. And we can even
Yes.
talk about,
Absolutely. I agree.
yeah, we could talk about the difference between, connection and networking if you want to, because I think that's another big thing that a lot of people in the service industry, they think networking is connecting, and I'm here to disrupt that conversation because it's not.
Mm.
So,
We're going to get into that, but before we do that, we're going to take a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Mike Hollis here, former NFL kicker of 9 years and All Pro. I just want to give a shout out to Jason Wilson for all that he's done for me and my podcast, Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. It's my very first podcast, so I had no experience whatsoever. Jason does everything for me. A few things at the beginning for setting up, but other than that, it's been a very seamless process from that day moving forward. And I got to tell you, he's on spot every Monday night at 5:30 when we do our podcast. An incredible producer. He's made all the intro clips and anything that I need for the podcast. And so I just want to thank him for everything that he's done, and highly recommend using Jason for your future podcast. Thanks a lot.
Rock star, huh? Rock star. Yeah.
And we're back. So thank you to Mike Hollis, awesome podcast host of his own show, Zealous Wellness. And so let's continue this conversation, Lorna. Now, we originally met through Dan Nzinga. Shout out to Dan. He has an awesome show as well. I love that episode that you were on, by the way. And that's how we got connected and became friends now. Now, you mentioned the Diva Network. I actually went to a meeting last week that you introduced me to. Tell us about the Diva Network. And, there's plenty of other networking organizations out there. Why did you choose this one? Why is it so special? And
Yeah.
what did they do?
Yeah, so I'm gonna continue that conversation about connection and value and vision and all the things, right? Because that's so important, and I'm gonna tell you how that came about. The founder of the Diva Network is Adora Evans, right? She partnered up with Christine Karan. They're of the Dining Divas. That's a whole franchise, and the Diva Network is a spin-off of that, right? But how I got into connecting with the Diva Network is through connection, y'all. It's through adding value and being in collaboration and community with Adora. Adora is a super connector. She's just off the chain. And her vision, when she shared it with me about what she was creating for the Diva Network and why she was creating it. You remember I talked about knowing your value, and then so that you can align with the value of the client. This is a perfect example of that. One of the things that was missing from my programs as a coach was community. I got the feedback from my clients; they didn't have community because I've been doing one-on-one coaching. So when Adora came to me with the idea of the Diva Network of building a community of women, divine, inspired, visionary, authentic sisterhood, I was like jumping out of my seat. I'm like, this is what I've been looking for, right? So she had a vision to have women and the men who support us to be in community with each other, to rise together. We're there to lift each other up in community, whether it's in business, personal, whatever, the community is there. And what she says is we're rethinking and rewiring how we do community. We don't just have a bunch of people on a list, right? People are actually interacting, meeting with each other, sharing wisdom. This morning we had Arthur Hopkins, who is one of the people who he is always on the Inspire tour as a speaker and support that entire organization. He was training us this morning on speaking on stage, speaking here on Zoom. All these people are top-notch people who have been gathered together with a similar vision, with a similar value, with a similar mission, and together we're going to change the trajectory of a lot of lives and the planet. That's why I got into the Diva Network. But it was all through connecting with Adora. I spent time with Adora outside of different communities until she actually introduced me to Russell Brunson and a whole bunch of his people, and we just stay connected because we share similar values, right? So that's how the Diva Network. That's how I got into the Diva Network, and everybody there. It's not just about networking. It's about connection. It's about how do you be in an environment and be connected on a deep level so that you can, again, be of contribution and realize profits later on. Don't get me wrong, we all get to eat, right? At the end of the day, we all got to eat. But we're not leading with that. We're leading in contribution. And so that network to me is one of the best ones I've been in. And there are others like it, but this is just because I think it's because I'm Adora's friend before the community started. It just has a different meaning for me. But I think it's an amazing community of women and, like I said, the men who support us to actually grow. We have so many benefits within the Diva Network. Travel benefits, speaking opportunities. We have what's his name, Jeff Hoffman, who is the founder of Priceline and the creator of the kiosk in the airport. He's on our board of advisors. He comes in and he trains on entrepreneurship, things you should do, things you shouldn't do. Who would want to learn from somebody who has exited with billions multiple times, right? Getting access to masterminds that, I paid $100,000 to be in a mastermind. We give masterminds every Friday, and we mastermind your business from start to finish with the challenges that you have. You come and we do a true full-fledged mastermind the Napoleon Hill way, right? And we take it from start to finish, right? And when you leave with a plan, you get to implement, and you get to be accountable. So where else can you go get that for $9.97 a year,
Yeah,
right?
that community is amazing. I will definitely be back and join myself. And like you said, with the name of it, the Diva Network, you would think that it's just for women. No, there were men
Yeah.
there as well. They're also members. So, that's something that I'm really, really excited about.
I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are. And by the way, our president is male, Jimmy. Jimmy's our
Right.
president,
Shout
and
out to Jimmy.
shout out to Jimmy. Yeah. So yeah, it's really an amazing community, and it's building, and we're loving what's happening because one of the biggest things for me to support this community was results, right? We're driving the results because so many times, and I've been there, you get into these coaching programs, you get into these communities, and you're there floundering, and you're not sure what to do, and nobody to support you, and you're not realizing results, whether it's in the connections or in monetary results or your health or whatever your goal was. You're not seeing the results. Well, we are a results driven community, and at the same time it's with empathy and compassion, so and grace.
That's awesome. So you mentioned transformation before, and that's something that, I had a transformation myself, like about a month ago. And, so Dan Nzinga, myself, and Michael Leslie, we're a few members of the inspiration community that Dan has. We've all been through transformative experiences. So, how does transformation help you with connecting with people?
And it goes right, great question again. You hit me with the good ones today, dude. Great question. Transform. So if you look at the etymology of the word transform, trans, right? I would say trans is turning, right? Changing form, right? So when you're looking at transformation, it's changing from I would say who you were in the past to somebody new. There's a scripture that talks about be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? Now, if you look at that scripture, it's saying exactly that. Change your mind, change your thought, change your way of thinking about the thing, whatever it is that you used to think a certain way. You got to change how you think and go into a different direction, a new way of thinking that supports your growth, right? That's important. Transformation should support growth and evolution, right? So, how does that help you to connect? Well, here's the thing. It's going to connect you to new people because you're thinking a different way. Matter of fact, take the case that, when you're in a state of transforming, a lot of the things that you used to do are going to fall away. A lot of the people who used to be in your life are going to fall away. I know that happened for me in a big way. A lot of the things that you may used to eat are going to fall away. A lot of places that you used to go are going to fall away because now you're creating a new version of yourself, the version of yourself that you didn't even know existed, right? That is my distinction of transformation, creating a new version of yourself you did not even know existed before. And so you gotta applaud that. You gotta get to that. You gotta get grounded in that because here's the thing: it took whatever age you are, where you are experiencing this transformation. It took you a couple where you were, right? Over here. It's going to take you a couple of years to get grounded in who you are becoming or who you've decided to become. So that's why I say, you got to have grace. You got to have grace with yourself because, it's a process. It's a process. Don't forget that part. It's a process. And just be mindful of that.
Yes, absolutely. It's a process, and in some cases, it's a long process. But I think that the whole key to this, though, the whole key to it is being willing to disconnect from anything that's preventing you from moving forward. And that thing you'll find probably exists in your childhood,
Yeah.
30, 40 years ago, someplace.
Yeah.
So for me, that's exactly what it was. It was
Yeah.
being open to the fact that you can be disconnected from that thing in the past in order to make the decisions that you need to make in your present, which will give you a transformative life.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, I love that you use the word disconnect in this context
Mhm.
because, in order for you to disconnect, you had to be connected, so connected to that way of being in the past, right? Like you were disconnected from who you already are.
Right.
You see that? So
Yeah.
that's why you got to be patient with the transition, right? And not beat yourself up. Uh, you just being aware. Just the awareness alone is paramount, right? Because
Mm.
once you're aware that this is the new way that you want to be, and when those other things creep upon you, you get to acknowledge that okay, I'm on a journey. Acknowledgement is a part of the process of transformation. Y'all heard me? I said that. You gotta acknowledge. No, you know why I'm honing in on this, Jason? It's because most people miss that. Most people stuff things down instead
Mm.
of acknowledging. And I have a process that I teach in my program. And part of it, the first piece of it is awareness. The second piece is acknowledgement because everybody misses it. You got to acknowledge how you feel. If you don't acknowledge that feeling, it's going to ride you. You're going to be like, well, what is this? Why am I not? Why is this happening? Da, 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 da. That's because you didn't acknowledge it.
Mm.
It's a
Yeah.
feeling and it's a living entity, meaning it's energy. You gotta acknowledge it like anything else. Don't miss that part. Awareness, acknowledgement. So, and
Yes.
there's more.
That is.
I don't
That
want
is.
to blow the brain anymore.
Well, listen, we're going to have to do a part two. We're almost out of time, Lorna. And
Yeah.
that half hour, man, it went by like this. So, listen, how can people find you?
Hey, y'all could find me on Instagram at Coach Lorna Sherland. You could find me on Facebook. But the best way to find me, go on my website, lornasherland.com. Lorna Sherland, SHERLAND.com. And you'll get connected to me on all my platforms.
That's
And
great. So,
mhm,
yes.
go ahead. Oh, you go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
I was going to tell them about the success code. We have a show on Saturdays called the Success Code, where conscious leadership meets real talk and business. Would love you guys to tune in if you want to experience more of the conversations that we started here today. Just join us on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Central. That's another way to stay connected as well.
Wonderful. So how can people find the Diva Network?
If you go on my website, you'll find the Diva Network. You
Okay.
literally you can join the Diva Network from LornaSherland.com. I keep it simple for people to find me. So if you go on my landing page, LornaSherland.com, you'll find mostly everything. One thing I want to plug, because I know we're out of time, I want to invite any female entrepreneur who is really ready to shift their income, shift their visibility. If you feel like I've been successful, but something's not clicking, I want you to come to my masterclass on April 30th at 5 p.m. Central, and let's unlock you. Let's unleash you to become the best you for 2025 and beyond. Let's go, girls.
Wonderful. Lorna, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show. What's a last word of wisdom that you can share with our audience?
I love to share this because, especially in this time that so much is happening outside, I'm going to say go within and be still. When you're still,
Mhm.
you can hear. When you're out there being busy, you can't hear. You think you're hearing, but I'll say, take the case, you're not. So be still so you can hear.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have Lorna's website and everything that she mentioned in the show notes of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week at the same time. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your Easter. Take care.
Yeah. Happy Easter, everyone.
Thanks for watching Circle Back to You podcast. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next week.